All right. Thank you for joining me. My name is Brian Banks from Your Career Day. Can you give us your name?
My name is Andre Thomas.
Okay, Andre, where is your hometown?
Well, I'm originally from Saginaw, Michigan, but I currently reside in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay. Now, what is your career title?
I guess I'm just an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I am an entrepreneur. I am a business owner. Um, but I guess it can be kind of classified as a lot of titles based on the things that I do. But overall, I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay. Now, what does that entail?
An entrepreneur, what does it entail? A person that basically, I said, believes in themselves, a person that has a lot of grit,
Mhm.
a lot of perseverance, a lot of patience,
Okay.
um, and a lot of confidence. But the willingness to keep going when you have an idea or you have a dream, you have something that you feel is worth value to other people. So you kind of just you finish that course and you see it through. So for me, that's what an entrepreneur is: a person that believes in himself and wants to build something that benefits others.
Okay. Now, when you talk about being an entrepreneur, is there a certain thing that you own? What type of business is it? Can you give us a little bit more about what you're doing?
Yes. Okay, so I am the owner of co-owner of LAYOP Clothing. You can see I'm wearing a sweatshirt here, which
Mhm.
stands for Live at Your Own Pace. So I operate an online website, layop.com. I recently had a flagship store here in Las Vegas as well, which I opened. Operated that for 6.5 years. I recently just closed down about 2.5 weeks ago,
Mhm.
only because I'm looking for another location, a better opportunity. Because we currently outgrew that location, so just
Mhm.
looking for a better opportunity. So what I do is I'm a clothing designer, primarily t-shirts, hoodies, hats, accessories, things like that.
Mhm.
So I'm basically a graphic designer slash marketer, and business owner that creates creative t-shirts and garments and very inspirational things, encouraging other people to take that journey and find their own pace,
Yeah.
so that they can live at your own pace. I also do consulting as well. I've been able to pivot and utilize my expertise and my skill set to form a consulting company as well,
Okay.
which is called Max 78 LLC. Um, so I help other people build their brands. And it's not just even with clothing. I've helped literally from hairstylists to barbershops to fitness, to other clothing companies, help people in real estate as well. So help people with
Okay.
merchandising and marketing and kind of how to grow and scale their businesses.
All right. Sounds good. Now, what type of education is required to be an entrepreneur?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, so I graduated from the University of Michigan,
Mhm.
and I just forgot a quick second. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I to be completely honest, when I came to the University of Michigan, my intentions of coming there because I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the B school because I knew I wanted to own a business. I knew that. I just didn't know how it works or how it happens.
Mhm.
Well, I got to University of Michigan and realized like, whoa, I may not be prepared for this.
Mhm.
Coming from where I came from, my high school, and I wasn't academically prepared to enter into the B school. I
Okay.
had a talk with my counselor at the time, and he just asked me, he said, well, what is it that you want to do? What do you enjoy doing? And I
Mhm.
told him, I was like, I had a passion for art, drawing, but I just kind of had a hustle mindset. And he's like, why don't you, maybe apply for the School of Art and Design?
Mhm.
And honestly, I was like, it's a School of Art and Design here. I didn't know you could go to college to draw because that was my mindset.
Right, right.
Well, and I remember going, and at that time, I was like, okay, well, you got to submit a portfolio. You have to apply. You have to get accepted. And I'm like, you got to get accepted to come to a school to draw, you know, and because that was my mindset,
Mhm.
and I didn't know, I didn't really know what it entailed, and it was really ended up being the best decision that I ever made. The
Yeah.
reason being, for one, for me, that education and the experience, it allowed me to grow as an individual. It allowed me
Mhm.
to meet a lot of cool people. But for one, it allowed me to focus more on my talent. My talent was the creative side, but I learned it from the creative side because naturally I already had a business mindset. I didn't really know much about business, but I had the basics down.
Right.
And what that did for me is I would make stuff, I would design stuff, but I would always kind of have to be like, okay, but who is this for? You know, my
Right.
professors would push me. So when you say what type of education, because if I'm gonna be honest, there really is no education that's necessary. You don't need to go to college to become an entrepreneur.
Right.
Um, a lot of times with college, what college will do is college will give you the they'll give you the experience. Like I always tell people, college becomes an expensive library card, to be
Mm-hmm.
completely honest with you.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the connections and the resources that you will make, they're
Yeah.
priceless. And sometimes you can't put a dollar amount to that.
Right.
Um, but I would always encourage people to first find out what it is, you know, you truly want to do
Yeah.
and map out a plan to say, how do I really get to where I'm trying to get to? Like, if I don't go to college, and a lot of people don't know this, I never thought that I needed college. Even
Mm-hmm.
even coming out of high school, even before I graduated, I used to tell people, I don't really need college. I
Yeah.
can make it on my own because, you know, you're
Right.
16, 17 years old, you think you know everything.
Right.
And I really did think that I had everything it took to make it on my own. But I didn't understand college. You know, I really didn't.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it ended up a degree, you know, Bachelor of Science and Arts, a Bachelor of Arts, you know, School of Art and Design. And I used that to kind of catapult my career. But to be completely honest with you, I ended up with a lot of jobs that had nothing to do with my
Mm-hmm.
degree. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, when I graduated, I was working in the OME office at the University of Michigan. I left there to become a teacher. I was a
Mhm.
teacher for 3.5 years working with alternative education. And I truly, truly enjoyed that. Like, truly. Like, I probably, if I would have known that, I probably could have went to school to be a teacher, but I didn't
Yeah.
know that that was my passion. I didn't realize that until my senior year. I ended up getting laid off. Then I ended up going working at Ipsy High, working with one-on-one. But I was always doing my business on the
Right.
side.
Right.
On the side, that was like I would work, then I would do this on the, you know, after I got off work or on the
Yeah.
weekends. So that's what made my story a little interesting. I even when I came to Vegas, I was working with mental health, working with youth,
Mhm.
and working with people with mental disabilities because I had so much experience,
Right.
but I didn't go to school for that. Most people that I worked with, they had degrees in psychology. They went back and
Mhm.
got masters,
Yeah.
sociology, nothing that like I was kind of like this lone wolf, but I was always doing my business on the side.
Right.
So I always use those avenues to market and promote my business and build my businesses. And eventually, that's why I say you got to have patience, you know, and a lot
Yeah.
of grit. I was able to kind of build it to where I was able to walk away from everything and then just live off my business.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what is the best type of person suited to be an entrepreneur? You mentioned grit, but what are some of the other qualities you need to have to be an entrepreneur?
You have to have tough skin.
Okay.
The reason being is because you're going to fall down, you're going to get scraped up, but
Yeah.
you have to be willing to get back up. You have to be willing to accept no. You have to be willing to accept that it's not going to really go right the first time.
Yeah.
And even if it does, I can almost guarantee you this. Somewhere along your road, you're going to hit a very severe road bump. And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is, oh, you might be one of those people that get really lucky. You try something and it just works.
Yeah.
Boom, you go from broke to rich. That's great. But I guarantee you something's going to come along and challenge you. So you have to
Right.
be a person that has a lot of grit. You have to be a
Hmm.
person that says, it's okay. You're okay with hearing no. I'm
Right.
just going to keep going over,
Right.
trying and trying again. You got to have a lot of perseverance. Um, and I always just say patience because what I realized, we often want things and we want them when we want them.
Right.
But a lot of times we don't realize the timing of what we want. We may not be mentally ready to receive it.
Yeah.
We think that we are, but
Yeah.
we're not. Um, I would just say a person that truly has a plan. I think you have to be willing to work with others. You have to be a
Hmm.
person that is willing to work with others. And the reason why I say that is because usually with most entrepreneurs, they're really good at something.
Hmm.
Seriously, they're really good at something,
Yeah.
but they struggle in every other category.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you therefore now have to meet with people. You have to form a team
Right.
because see, some people, as I call them, solopreneurs, they do everything with themselves,
Yeah.
but it's hard to grow that way. because you still need other people. And I
Right.
think you have to be more purpose driven
Hmm.
versus financially driven. The
Yeah.
reason why I say that, because when you focus more on the purpose, believe it or not, and it sounds cliche because you hear it all the time, the money
Yeah.
will actually end up coming. When you
Yeah.
put the money first, I swear to you, it's like you're forever chasing something.
Right.
It's like you never get it. And then it's
Hmm.
like you kind of sit back, you almost start doing stuff pro bono, stuff for free, getting yourself out there. You just let your passion take you. And
Yeah.
then before you know it, it's like, wow, was it really this easy? The money
Hmm.
starts to come to you.
Yeah.
And, and I get why people don't understand that, but you have to be a person of patience, and you have to be a person of focus, drive,
Yeah.
and determination, because you're going to get a lot of doors slammed in your face.
Mhm.
You're going to get a lot of no's. You might get money, you'll probably end up going broke. You'll probably max out every credit card, everything that could possibly go wrong.
Yeah.
Cars repossessed, evictions, just things like that. Some of the
Yeah.
stuff I haven't been through personally, but I know people that have.
Yeah.
And it's like there's some commonalities in everybody's story that I know.
Yeah.
And I used to call them losses, but I call them lessons. And a
Yeah.
lot of times they're hard lessons. And a lot of people, they're just not, they don't have endurance to go through those lessons.
Right.
And so if you really want to do this, because it's not for the faint of heart, most
Yeah.
people think that an entrepreneur is a person who sits back and they say, I'm my own boss. No, what people don't understand, you're not your own boss in that aspect. Yes, you might set your schedule or do things like that,
Hmm.
but
Right.
really, you work for the people, because the
Right.
people ultimately are the people that pay you. Like
Yeah.
my sweatshirt, for example. You could like this sweatshirt, right? That's great that you like it. But
Hmm.
if you're not willing to exchange your currency for my product,
Right.
I just have a cool product. I need people to buy my product. So technically I have to design with them in mind as well. So therefore I work for them.
Right.
People just think people sit back and call shots and telling people what to do and
Hmm.
driving fancy cars and like all this, stuff that social media portrays, but it's not really that.
Yeah.
And what most people don't understand, the reason why you see people advertise themselves like that, they're marketing. All they're doing is selling themselves to you,
Right.
to get more views, more likes,
Right.
because their product might actually be themselves. It might be their YouTube channel, it might be their Instagram page.
Yeah.
You get enough followers, now people they want you to be an influencer, rep my brand, do this. So now people are paying you, but people don't understand that,
Yeah.
because everybody makes it look easy.
That's right.
you
That's right.
know,
Yeah. Now you talked about this a little bit, but what was your road to your current position? How did you decide on um, your brand? How did you decide on going this route that you're on right now?
well, so honestly, when I was in college, right before I graduated, so I always had a passion for shoes.
Hmm.
Going to the University of Michigan, there was a small population of Black people.
Yeah.
If I'm be honest, so when we would go to a party, it was like, it was a small population, but it was like,
Yeah.
man, we were all shopping at the same places, so we were always kind of
Right.
dressed alike. And I didn't like that, man. I've always been an individual that wanted to be unique and stand out,
Yeah.
because I was an art major. I think I was in fibers class, is what it was. I learned how to screen print, learned how to
Mhm.
dye, learn weave, stuff that, I probably was like, what would I ever do with this?
Right.
But I I decided then, I said, I want to make some t-shirts, because it was the simplest thing to do at that time.
Yeah.
And I could actually put on a finished product. I'm a person, I like tangible stuff. We like stuff we can touch, we can
Right.
feel. It makes you feel like you're making progress. And
Hmm.
I started making shirts, man. And I didn't make them to sell. I was making them for myself and some of my friends. We would go to parties and stand out, yo, where'd you get that from? Yo, like, no, kind of did it for me.
Right.
Then people started asking, and I was like, man, I might really got something here. Let's see if I can kind of turn this into a business. So
Hmm.
I graduated, did everything, but I was like, man, I'm gonna keep doing this on the side.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you when it really hit me. I was working, um, and this is no knock to school teachers, but a lot of times they're often underpaid.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I remember because I had built up a clientele by now. I would go back home to Saginaw. I was down in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti selling.
Yeah.
And I had made more money in a weekend
Yeah.
than I did in the whole entire month working. And I was like, wow. And you know, you gotta remember I'm young at that time, and this is cash money at that time, you know, cash money versus a paper check. And I was like, man, this really can work. This really,
Mhm.
you know, is something. So I decided to start taking it a little bit more serious. And then honestly, one of my business partners, he actually graduated from the University of Michigan as well, Jim Dre Westbrook.
Uh-huh.
And he was younger than me, but he approached me and my team and was like, man, can I get an internship? And I was
Yeah.
like, there's no internships, kid, for him selling shirts at the back of a trunk of a car.
Right.
But we had made such a big splash that he was like, yo, you really got something. And
Hmm.
honestly, he was like, this is more than just a hustle, man. Like, you
Yeah.
really got something. You can make this really a brand that lasts. Here
Yeah.
I am 20 plus years later. Because I always
Yeah.
tell people I got like the known unknown. Like people say, I never heard of your brand. I say, you're right. But we got a gang of people that have. I
Yeah.
mean, moving to Vegas, opening the store, you know, allowed us to reach people. Man, I mean, we got business coming from the United Kingdom to
Right.
Australia to New Hampshire to Michigan to Florida. You know, literally, I think
Right.
I know exaggeration. I think every state we've touched
Yeah.
in the United States. You know, and you know, international business as well. So my road has been a little different because I spent so many years, you know, working with youth,
Hmm.
working with mental illness. But
Right.
everywhere I did, I had jobs where I could go and I dressed like this. So I would
Yeah.
always wear my product. People
There you
say,
go.
man, you know, why do you always have this turtle on your shirt? Or what does that mean? And I do this on the side. That then led to me being able to market my business
Right.
and tell people like, oh, I like that. That's a good slogan. Or I
Yeah.
like that. You know, you build relationships and friendships and
Hmm.
things like that. And then people start buying your product. Then people start asking them. And then where they, you know, so your circle begins to grow
Right.
organically. And that's what worked for me. I
Yeah.
had a quality product with a message that people really embraced and they
Yeah.
loved.
Hmm.
So that was kind of my road. I know it won't be that way for everybody,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
um, that's what worked for me.
Okay.
That's what worked for me.
All right. So, um, you kind of touched on this, but what makes this career fun, interesting, or exciting, or all the above?
For me, because it's everything's always unknown. There's always a new challenge. It's like
Right.
taking something from your brain, putting it, well, right now, you know, you put it on a computer and then
Yeah.
from computer to a tangible product. And
Right.
then once it becomes tangible, there's so much that goes behind how do I get it from now to somebody wearing this?
Hmm.
Or you know, when I open up the store,
Yeah.
how do you get people to come in the store? And that's great that they come in there. But now
Yeah.
how do you get them to go in and be like, oh, I really like this product and I want to buy it?
Right.
How do you convert that sale, that transaction is always a challenge. How
Hmm.
do you stay relevant? Like I tell people, that's something that I do in consulting. People,
Yeah.
I say, you never had to heard of me, but the one thing is this. I mean, you know this. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this now for a little over 20
Sure.
years. You know,
Mhm.
so I've made it a career.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it exciting. But what makes it, you know, scary at the same time is always kind of like, well, what do you do next? You have to keep
Yeah.
evolving. Like
Right.
there's that
Right.
phrase, either evolve or you dissolve. And
Hmm.
you always have to be willing to grow
Yeah.
and tap in with new people, young people, older people that have wisdom that you don't have and kind of see like, and you always have to be aware where the market is going. You know, my brand, a lot of people grew with us. And so that made it really, really good. A lot of people that grew literally from, you got to think I'm 43 years old now.
Hmm.
Started this when I was 20. And, you know, literally people that were older than me, they're like, man, like I've just been able to wear stuff now that's like, that still fits them at 20, at 43. There's like, you know, you got designs, but then they might have kids. And I'm like, but you might create something for them. Or there's just something about the message that relates to them. So for
Yeah.
me, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting. But
Yeah.
that's also what makes it challenging because I always got to stay sharp. You
Right.
always have to stay sharp and you have to realize, you know, you only get it. Like I tell people, somebody told me this, not everybody gets a wave to ride in life. Some
Hmm.
people just kind of they just kind of go through. Some people get a wave, you know, they call it that 15 minutes of fame. Some
Yeah.
people take it and they can multiply it. And I mean, they turn their 15 minutes into a lifetime.
Right.
So I've been blessed enough to be able to ride my wave, because I
Yeah.
understood that not everybody gets a wave. So I've learned that, you know, continue to ride that wave, because when that wave comes down, if it crashes, a lot of
Yeah.
times it's over, you know,
Yeah.
then you got to figure out something else. So for me, I've just been blessed that way, that I've been able to utilize my skill set, utilize me, because a
Yeah.
lot of what I'm doing is just selling Andre Thomas.
Right.
And it took me honestly probably 18 years to realize that
Yeah.
a lot of people bought me. Even in the store,
Right.
I had people coming from Hawaii. We came to the store just to see you. We love your positivity, your energy. I'm always like, I know I'm not the only person in the world with this energy. It's like, no, but just everything you're doing is so great. And people come in and I'm just like, that's great. You know, they saw me on TV shows or they see me in magazines. So I mean, it's crazy. You know, I'll come in, people are like, can we take pictures? Can you autograph? So all those things are exciting and keeps me going.
Yeah.
You know, because it lets me know like, hey, I'm doing something right and I'm touching some lives.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now this is my final question.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone that might want to follow in your footsteps?
I would go back to the original thing of saying, first, do you have the grit? Do you have the tenacity? Do you have the willingness to fall down multiple times? And then I would ask them, say, what is it that you're doing? Why do you want to do it? Literally, what is your why? Like, I don't want to hear, you know, I want to be rich, or I want to have lots of money. I want all these fancy. No, give me a real reason. People often ask me, oh, Dre, what's your reason? Live at your own pace. I'm encouraging people to be themselves. Basically, it's a brand about self-confidence.
Yeah.
Being okay with who you are. If everybody's going left and you want to go right because right just makes you happy, then go right.
Right.
Even though you might be ridiculed, the spotlight's going to be on you. But I'm going to ask people like, hey, when you go this entrepreneurial route, are you okay with the spotlight being on you? And what people don't realize, when the spotlight is on you, you're usually isolated. Because like I said, in this example, if everybody's to the left, you blend in. But once you start to become that lone wolf and stand out, it's a little scary. It's like being on the ocean. And the further you go out in the ocean and you look around, it's like, wow, you can't even see land anymore.
Yeah.
You start to get anxiety. Are you okay with that anxiety? Because you already know you can't swim from the middle of the ocean back to shore.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So you have to be okay with like, man, I'm just out here all alone, but I'm comfortable. I love the scenery, and I know eventually I'll end up floating somewhere to put my feet on land.
Yeah.
So do you have that type of, willingness? And just really asking people, why do you want to do it? Because the majority of people that I talk to, even when I do my consulting, a lot of it's the same. I just want to do my own thing. I want to be my own boss. And I said, I get it, but you're not your own boss. You're going to work harder doing this than you will working a regular job. Doing a regular job, people hate it, but it's actually one of the easiest things that you can do, no matter how hard your job is.
Yeah.
Why? Because what you're doing is known. It's pretty much a straight path.
Right.
This path, you got to be built for dips and turns and having to go backwards and start over. It's just different. So I would say you have to have tenacity, man. You've got to have grit. You've got to have tough skin.
Yeah.
You really do. You have to be okay with hearing no. You have to be okay with taking lessons. If you're not willing to take lessons, I wouldn't advise this to you, because like I said, you get your feelings hurt real easy, no matter what you do. I mean, you could literally have everything going and you try something I heard my food was great. I opened up a restaurant, and you open up a restaurant, which is a very hard industry to crack.
Yes.
And then it doesn't work, but it doesn't mean that you're not a good chef or your food isn't good. Maybe your location was bad. Maybe your marketing was off.
Right.
Yeah. You got to pack it up, be willing to try again. But I put everything in. I heard that all the time, Brian, when people came to my store. I once had something like, I wish I could have did what you did. And I would always tell them this. I said, so what happened? I said, you want me to tell the difference between you and me? I kept going.
Yeah.
It's the only difference. Well, man, I had maxed out my credit cards too. Took out loans, went broke, did everything. That's how
Yeah.
bad I wanted it.
Right. Right.
Some people, and I get it, some people are not built for that. And I'm not encouraging that because I understand it doesn't work for everybody. So that's kind of what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Andre, I really appreciate you taking time to share your time and knowledge with us, and I wish you all the best moving forward.
Oh man, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. And like I said, I wish you the best in, your future endeavors and getting your channel out there going. And hopefully, people that I hear this and the other people that you've interviewed, it can be a benefit to them.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Have a good one.